Welcome to Crossbody of Work. My name is Evan.
I am Javier.
And this week we look at, I was going to call her the Queen of Extreme, but that's Francine. No, we got to look at Lita, who was part of Team Extreme.
What is Lita's nickname?
I am literally on Wikipedia now because I don't know.
She
does not have anything listed.
Machete Girl is what she calls herself on social media or whatever.
I remember seeing that and I was like, Lita's a cool chick who's living the gimmick. You know what I mean?
You know, I just don't, aside from a mutual like of wrestling, I don't see me and Lita having literally anything in common.
Which women's wrestler do you think you would be able to hang out with?
I mean, I feel like I'd be able to hang out with pretty much most of them. Like,
Because you're not a pervert.
Yeah, I'm not weird.
You're not weird.
Not Jada Parker.
Who would you fucking like? Who would you like hang with? Like, who would you like? You think you get along with?
Ooh, that's a good. I feel like me and Candice LeRae. She's a big comic book nerd, along
That's
with
fair.
Gargano. So
You and Dakota Kai probably.
Dakota Kai. That's a great question.
I have one that I think is
Bailey.
weird.
No, it's Bailey.
Bailey?
She's a big sports person. We can talk about sports.
That's fair.
She's also kind of nerdy. She also is like a really big wrestling nerd.
That's fair. I feel like I could hang out with Chelsea Green because that was a lot of my female friends in high school. They acted like Chelsea Green. And you know what? I think I could still hang. All right, welcome to Crossbody of Work. This is a show where we talk about a wrestler through 5 of the most important matches and debate which female wrestlers we could be homies with. This week, we look at Lita. Before we dive into the career of Lita, you should follow us wherever you're listening, whether you're on YouTube and you can see my background. Last time, this will be my background because I'm moving. I got my house earlier this week and we painted it and we cleaned it and we did a bunch of gardening and shit, and then I moved. So we're recording this week early. Also, programming note for those who watch on YouTube, we will not be doing our predictions for King and Queen of the Ring as well as Double or Nothing because I will be busy.
Yes, Evan's moving. I'm going to the Empire State. That's
Iowa?
It's New York.
Oh.
Sorry, I forget. I forget you're Canadian.
They don't have empires in Iowa? I think they do. It's
just a college football team, sadly.
You should like us wherever you're listening. You should hit subscribe wherever you're listening. You should rate 5 stars or give the thumbs up. Tell us we are pretty. All right. Obviously, like, what do you know about Lita? What do you think about Lita?
I mean, I don't know. She's like one of the most iconic women's wrestlers of all time, especially in North America. Like, period. Whether it's here in the U.S., Mexico, you know, she's was all over. She was kind of like the original indie chick. Like, if you really kind of think about it, like she came just after the territories were a thing, and she really made the rounds. And then she came to WWE. And
it's funny because she didn't really do American indies. Like, that was never her route.
She was in Mexico.
She went to Mexico. She did CMLL.
Yeah.
Which is wild when you think about it. So a little bit about the background of Lita. Real name, Amy Dumas, and is from Washington, D.C., but was born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Wait.
Yeah. Like, she moved to D.C.
I know. So she's from Florida and D.C.
Yeah.
That throws me off completely because it was the spoiler alert. We cover her first retirement match. And they say, oh, she's in her hometown of North Carolina.
Yeah, they just billed her from Sanford, North Carolina because they lied. Did you know The Undertaker's not an undead wizard either? The other thing, her ancestry, Mexican-American, Puerto Rican, and French.
I'm sorry, Lita is Hispanic?
She has Puerto Rican ancestry as well as Mexican-American. Yeah.
Lita's a Latina?
Lita Latina, yes.
That is shocking. Genuinely.
She played bass guitar in several bands when she was in Washington, D.C., worked as a roadie for a band, and then first became interested in wrestling after watching a Rey Mysterio match on an episode of WCW Nitro. Exquisite taste. Traveled to Mexico in 97 to learn more about the sport and how to wrestle. She financed her training by dancing in a club under the pseudonym Misty. During her stay in Mexico, trained under numerous wrestlers, including El Dandy and Ricky Santana. You know El Dandy.
Shout out to the greatest Bret Hart promo of all time.
I fucking love the El Dandy promo. She made several appearances of CMLL, no 3 L's on that bad boy.
Sound like you were choking on it.
What the
CMO.
Rock is cooking, under the name Angelica. And then in April 99, she was approached by Paul Heyman, the owner and booker, of course, of ECW. She debuted in ECW. Do you remember what her name was in ECW?
She was in ECW?
She was, yeah.
Yes, I mean, obviously, based off of that response, you can tell I did not know.
Under the name Miss Congeniality. Great movie.
Love it.
Great movie. She was the on-screen girlfriend of Danny Doring, then started using the Angelica name once again, and then was introduced to wrestler Dory Funk Jr. by ECW wrestler Rob Van Dam. Went to the Funkin' Conservatory to learn more wrestle graps. Funk compiled footage of Dumas and sent it to the WWF, who were very impressed. And on August 1st of 99, Dumas was signed to a developmental deal. She started wrestling in 97. Within 2 years, was already signed to the WWF.
Speaking of Miss Congeniality,
you going to bring me some Sandy B facts or what?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
I found out something today that absolutely blew my mind.
Okay.
Did you know that her and Ryan Gosling dated?
Yes, I did.
I did not know that.
I did know that.
I was like, what?
Did you know that I only really like 2 Sandra Bullock movies?
Is it Miss Congeniality and Speed?
It is exactly those 2 movies.
You don't like The Proposal?
I don't like The Proposal. I thought it was fine. But there are people who really like it. I just think it's fine.
You know my opinions on Gravity.
So yes, because we cover Gravity on my other podcast. One. Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to you and Mal doing the business over there.
Popcaps podcast, baby. Check it out. So after 6 months at ECW, she made her final appearance October 23rd, 99. Which is funny because she debuted on the July 5th episode of Raw in 99, but not as Lita. It's like a fun fact gimmick that people know. Where did Lita first debut in WWF?
She was a part of the Ho Train.
She was part of the Godfather's Ho Train. She then went down to Memphis Championship Wrestling, honed her skills, and made her debut on February 13th, 2000 as the manager for Ese Rios.
What a dark time.
They were on an episode of Sunday Night Heat, so you debut on Heat. And Rios won the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship from Gilbert on that show. Yeah, here's a fun fact I did not know. Lita and Ese Rios did not know what their names would be in WWF until they watched the episode because they were decided in post-production. So they weren't introduced, or they didn't say anything to the crowd in terms of the name, and then they decided it later. They were like, fill in the blank names.
That's kind of crazy. Because how do you? Yeah. Well, I guess you just do the commentary later on.
Yeah, you just fill in the Sunday Night Heat commentary. Rios eventually turned on Lita, powerbombing her after she inadvertently cost him a match, and the Hardy Boys came to her rescue, which brought us Team Extreme. You were not old enough to fully appreciate how cool the fucking Hardy Boys were, because you were 2 and 3 when they were like
cool. Yeah.
When Hardy Boys first dropped.
Oh, you're one of those.
Holy shit, man!
I remember the second run of Hardy Boys when they were blowing people's faces up and shit.
That's true. R.I.P. to the nose of Joey Mercury. Yeah, they were the coolest thing in the world, and they had this girl who came out with her thong showing, and I swear to God, everyone's older brother was like, this is the greatest gimmick of all time.
Well, see, you know what I appreciate about it is that, I mean, it didn't actually inspire it. There's no direct correlation here, but Manny from Degrassi, that episode where she had her thong showing from the shorts and JT was really happy about it, I was really happy about it.
It's you. You were JT. As you can imagine, somebody who runs around with their thong showing out would eventually draw the ire of the right to censor. Lita had won the women's championship off of Stephanie McMahon on August 21st, 2000, but then would lose it in a 4-way match on the November 2nd episode of SmackDown to Ivory of the Right to Censor. And then we get this match. It's WWF Rebellion 2000, Lita challenging for the WWF Women's Championship against Ivory.
We need another rebellion show or something like that.
I mean, like,
they need to go to the UK and put that on television or pay-per-view more often.
well, I mean, if their whole game plan is to just do the big 5 pay-per-views in the States and do the rest internationally, I'm sure that the UK will get another pay-per-view soon.
Wasn't Money in the Bank in the UK last year? Like,
yeah, and now it's in Canada.
It's in Toronto.
That's how you can tell that you're an American and not a Canadian. How you pronounce Toronto.
Well, that's not how I normally.
If you were to say it, how would you say? See, that's still wrong.
How is it pronounced?
Toronto. The second T. Anyone who is from Southern Ontario does not say the second T.
How do you pronounce Worcester?
Worcester.
It's Worcester.
What do you think of this match?
This was solid. I'm actually really. See, there have been multiple examples on this podcast when we've covered women's wrestling from this time period who aren't Joshis. And we've collectively gotten upset about the fact that they got like nothing.
Yeah.
This is one of those instances where I was really upset that this was like a 5-minute match because I thought that they had really good chemistry.
Ivory is the lost episode of this podcast. My computer crashed and we lost the Ivory episode, which is a great episode. We'll get to it eventually. We will. Ivory is such an underrated worker. And Lita, despite only being in the business for 3 years at this point, which is still crazy to think about, has just a lot of athleticism. And I'm like, wow, if you give these women 12 minutes, they would tell a really nice, compelling story. And nowadays, they would probably get 12 minutes.
They'd probably get a hell of a lot more than 12 for the women's title.
It's true.
With these pay-per-views that are only 5 matches?
We are recording, by the way, on Tuesday of the week where they just had some of the quarterfinals for King of the Ring. The Raw quarterfinals or semifinals just happened. And that Io Sky match from the semifinals is longer than any AEW women's match that has ever happened.
With Lyra Valkyria?
Yeah, the Lyra Valkyria Io Sky match is longer than any non-ROH AEW women's match. It was 19 and a half minutes long.
For now, who knows? Double or Nothing. There's 2 women's matches on that one.
And they'll combine for 17.
Steven Richards has Mercedes.
That's true. Steven Richards gets some heat by talking about the full Monty. Allow us to give you an offer in morality. Having a pub on every street corner is wrong. Having a monarchy that stands idly by and lets happen is not only wrong, it's unacceptable. I thought Steven Richards was about to be just based as fuck and be like, having a monarchy is wrong. I was going to be like, yeah, Steven, get him.
It's wrong until Queen Charlotte and King George are involved. Then it's like, oh, no, it's fine. I just want to see them thrive together. Shout out to Farmer George.
I didn't know you were a monarchy fan.
This is a Bridgerton reference.
All I know is that people had sex in a carriage recently.
Spoilers, Evan.
Yeah, well, it's not for me. It's in the book.
Well, some people don't read.
Some people can't read.
If these kids knew how to read, they'd be really mad.
So we get into the match. Lita with a backdrop for a 2. Richards gets knocked off the apron by Lita. Ivory has such good punches. This is something I noticed.
I'm really upset about it. Why did that episode get lost? Yeah. I mean, I'm not upset because now we just get to rewatch the Ivory matches.
That's true.
Richards yells at Lita to look into his eyes, and they'll teach her the way and stuff.
What do you see? A cult of personality.
All right. Well, also, I didn't mention this. There was like a promo in the back for Lita where she was like getting interviewed by Cole. And she says that she's read so many letters and emails from fans in the UK, and it's her first time there. And I was like, damn, that shit's dated. She got letters and emails.
She didn't just get weird DMs.
She just get DMs like
being like, let me see your feet. Those weird DMs.
Alrighty then.
Hey man, people are weird, all right?
Yeah, like Joe Mazzulla, who challenged a call 35 seconds into the game.
Javier is also simultaneously watching Game 1 of Celtics Pacers.
That's not true. Don't tell the people that.
Well, I'm just giving them the behind the scenes.
We're up 12-0.
Lita gets choked in the corner. We get the hair tossed by Ivory. Leg drop by Ivory, 2 count, a nice Northern Lights suplex.
Oh
Lita's
my
kind
god.
of getting worked over at this point. She
Absolutely ragdolled her on that Northern Lights, by the way. You don't
she did.
usually see that on those.
She gets the head scissors drop kick. Lita hits a twist of fate. Then Lita dives through the ropes onto Steven Richards, which is a great decision.
We will talk about suicide dives later.
Yeah, they're not good. Talk about the finish.
We get a sunset flip from the apron by Lita into the ring. Ivory uses she halts the momentum to get the leverage up to be able to get a pin on. Once she has the pin secured, Steven Richards puts his hands into the ring to hold her hands so that
Yeah.
she pretty much just has Lita trapped. 1, 2, 3. Ivory
I
wins.
hope you know that by holding hands, Ivory and Steven Richards went to right to censor third base. So, yeah.
Still within bounds.
That's right. They still didn't go home.
Yes.
We dive right into our next match because coming off of the feud with Ivory, there would be a feud between Lita and the Shooter, Dean Malenko. I love how every time I have to introduce Dean Malenko, I do like a weird Pacino impression. The Shooter. So yeah, we get Dean Malenko and Lita. It's a great time. Well, that's all he fucking does. And it brings in their friends. So we have a 6-person elimination tag match. It is Lita and the Hardy Boys versus the Radicals. In this instance, the Radicals being Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, and Perry Saturn. So everyone's 3 favorite Radicals.
Do you think that? Did you watch the little highlight reel, pretty much video package for this match?
You mean the Dean acting like every man on dating apps? Yeah, I saw that.
Do you think that after he gets swindled when Lita's seducing him,
Yes.
that he was like, I should take a flamethrower to this place?
I think after that, Dean Malenko founded 4chan.
Do you think he also wanted to say hello to my little friend?
He should have. Actually, no, he starts in a Dunkachino commercial, which is and remains Al Pacino's greatest role in Jack and Jill.
Yeah, love it. He got a Razzie for that, and he shouldn't have. He should have won an Oscar.
Yeah, wrong award. This match is some of the best action per minute you're gonna find.
Honestly, soccer has a per 90, right? Oh, this person has so many goals per 90. Basketball is per 36, stuff like that. If we're doing per 36 versions of this match, but it's per minute, this is as high up there as you'll ever see.
There is very little gaps. It reminds me of the luchador tag matches that WCW has, and obviously that actual AAA and CMLL have, because they have no tags. And if somebody just comes to the ring, another person comes in, and it's just
tornadoes, baby.
Quick. Yeah, exactly. And so it reminds me of that because there were tags, but everything was just still so fast. What were things that stood out to you?
I wrote so much down here. So I really liked at the beginning. There's a double suplex to Eddie, and then they hit him with this I don't even know how to describe it. It was like a wheelbarrow
it's
around
a wheelbarrow
the world kind of position. They literally just go like that all the way around. They basically hit an angle slam, but more of a rotation on it, and from kind of like a wheelbarrow position.
It's a move I want the Creeds to do all of the time. Lita goes up top, the Radicals go to the outside, and Jeff does a crossbody onto both Eddie and Malenko.
Can we talk about the fact that Jeff Hardy invented the buckshot lariat?
Oh yeah, I didn't even clue into that. Yeah,
I saw that. I was like,
there's a young Adam Page out there. Write that down. Write that down.
I was I literally was just like, did Jeff Hardy just do a buckshot as a strike?
Matt gets the hot tag to Jeff. He clears the apron. Back body drops Eddie. Eddie goes for a top rope Hurricane Runner Frankensteiner and slips to the ground. Lita comes in, hits him with the twist of fate, and Jeff, who was already on the top rope from the failed Frankensteiner, hits a swanton. Eddie is the first person eliminated. We lose his glorious, glorious mustache, and Dominic's dad has to go to the back. We are all sad.
We get Whisper in the Wind. We get Poetry in Motion, but on the second Poetry in Motion attempt,
first one hits Dean, second one's to Saturn.
Second one's to Saturn. On the one to Saturn, Saturn catches Matt, right? No, Jeff catches Jeff, puts him in the Death Valley driver position, hits the Death Valley driver, or what does he call it? The Eliminator? I don't even know. 1, 2, 3.
I think he just calls it the Death Valley driver still.
Sure, well, man.
I mean, that's what it is.
1, 2, 3. Jeff Hardy, Gonzo. We're like 2.5 minutes in.
This is my brave confession of the day.
Go ahead.
I still sometimes mix up which one is called Poetry in Motion, which one's called Whisper in the Wind.
Now, see, I'm right there with you on that because I also was confused. And so I just Googled it. I literally Googled, I went Hardy's Whisper in the Wind. And I didn't even click on a video. I just went to the images. And I could see them setting up the like I see Jeff doing the twist,
the flip,
in the air.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, all right, that's Whisper in the Wind. The other one's Poetry in Motion.
Okay. I got them right, but I just wanted to share that. I'm being vulnerable for the people. Terry is also here with the Radicals. Terry Reynolds is here. Before she was replaced with a mop.
She was Perry, right, at the time?
Yeah, she's with Perry. Terry and Perry. Couples' names shouldn't rhyme. Couples' names should not rhyme.
P&T.
It's just... no, it's too far. Couples also shouldn't have the same name. Taylor Lautner and other Taylor Lautner.
Well, my initials with my girlfriend rhyme, J and K.
Yeah, your names don't rhyme.
You don't know.
She's not called Caviar.
Although it'd be dope as fuck if she were.
I think we have some suggestions. Hey, what would you think about a new gimmick? We're gonna do the new gimmick.
What do you think about getting your name changed instead of that? What do you think of a new gimmick?
New gimmick, brother. So Terry grabs Matt leg, Saturn with a big sidekick. Matt counters and Saturn hits a overhead full Nelson suplex for a 2, which looked gross. Perry Saturn's the best in this match, I think.
I mean, yeah, he hit a Death Valley driver and a Dragon suplex within like 35 seconds of each other.
Yeah. He's fucking rocking right now.
What? He's by far the best one. Also, a super kick. He hits a super kick in that span too.
Yeah. Dean gets dumped to the outside. Matt with a twist of fate, and Saturn gets eliminated. Terry gets in the ring.
Slaps the dog shit out of Matt.
Slaps the shit out of Matt Hardy. Lita then I'm gonna use spears in quotation marks. Spears Terry.
Right, well, you gotta. You're the person that rates spears on this podcast. So rate the spear out of 10.
That's a 4. It's a 4.
It's a takedown.
It's a takedown. It's an okay takedown.
It's a spear because she goes shoulder first into it, but
she does. Dean comes in, quick roll up a Matt while he bumps Lita to the outside, and that gets us Lita versus Dean as Matt gets eliminated. This is the match everybody came to see in the UK, or in this is Armageddon, so in wherever the hell we are.
They popped.
They did. People were excited.
Yeah, I mean, we get the Lita Kanrana to Malenko, a spin kick and a moonsault for a near fall by Lita, which I was like, oh, This is getting feisty. She does the little twist into a DDT, you know, the deal where they like twist on the shoulder and then hits a DDT. Yeah. Malenko, it's a super kick, but he lifts her head before the count of 3.
Yeah, Dean sucks here.
Yeah. He does a backbreaker, lifts her by the hair again.
Yep. Does some short arm clotheslines, lifts her by the head.
This guy's an asshole.
He locks in a Texas Clover Relief. Lita taps immediately. She looks like she's dying.
Now, admittedly, I probably would also tap immediately to a Texas Clover Leaf. That shit looks uncomfortable.
Especially from the shooter.
Oh, yeah.
No, really weirdly, Dean kind of wins this feud, which is weird, right? Like he doesn't date Lita, but it's still weird that he wins.
Like, yes, but at the same time, they've only been in the WWE, like a few months?
Yeah, they debuted earlier in 2000.
They debuted January 1st? Was it the 1st straight up or something like that?
Maybe.
And then they when's Armageddon? That's probably like July range, isn't it?
Armageddon is the end of the month or the end of the year. Armageddon's like December.
Oh, so yeah, they've been there a year.
Yeah, because Armageddon has the crazy 6-man Hell in a Cell match.
You got to keep my man looking strong.
It's true. Also, we're in Birmingham, Alabama, if you're wondering who popped for the intergender confrontation.
Listen, I'm not going to say that tracks, but yeah, that makes sense.
We're going to take a break. When we get back, we talk about all the other things Lita does, including feuding with Trish and hanging out with Edge. Back from the break. I didn't remember this, but there was like a weird Hardy's breakup angle that happens in 2001 that I had forgotten about.
Didn't Matt hit Jeff with a chair?
Yeah, like they feud with each other, and then they reunite because, strangely, all three of them get injured by The Undertaker. Yeah. Undertaker takes out Jeff and Lita first, and then Matt gets injured. And
I remember he like chokeslammed the shit out of Lita.
And then they come back together at the Rumble in 2002 to try to take out The Undertaker. And that's like, I've seen that part of the Royal Rumble, and I was like, yeah, the Hardys just fucking Undertaker up. But it was with purpose. Didn't realize that. Lita would have her first WrestleMania appearance as a wrestler at WrestleMania X8. She would lose in a triple threat that includes Trish Stratus and Jazz.
But then that on the pod, which is
on the Jazz episode. Yeah. April 6th of that year, Dumas suffered what appeared to be a stinger, not while wrestling. Do you know how she injured her neck?
She was filming for Dark Angel, the Dark Angels?
Dark Angel, just called Dark Angel.
Yeah, the Jessica Alba show.
Yes, great show.
I nailed that.
Well done. She was supposed to do a Hurricane Rana, but the stunt double dropped her when she was swinging through the move. It landed her on her neck.
You know, I have a newfound respect for stunt. I always respected stunt people, but I have a newfound respect for them because I watched The Fall Guy.
Is it good?
Movie. I loved it.
Okay.
Love it. I'm a big fan of the director because he made Bullet Train, and I love Bullet Train. So.
I want to break from house stuff and moving this weekend. I might try to go to the movies. So
I mean, look, man, Emily Blunt, Ryan Gosling, Aaron Taylor Johnson. There's no you can't go wrong.
Hell of a trio. Hell of a trio.
Wrong there.
Yeah. Speaking of trios, might go see Challengers too.
Oh, that was a great movie.
Yeah,
all I learned was like a legitimately great movie.
All I learned from that is that people who play tennis fuck. So that's the way it goes.
I mean, yeah, they're all rich. You gotta be rich just to start playing tennis, pretty much.
You gotta be rich to play tennis. She would be out of action. Lita would be out of action for almost a year, or just under a year. She even did some color commentary on Sunday Night Heat, which
terrible decision. Terrible decision. We'll get to that, but terrible decision.
Then there was a whole gimmick where Lita started doing a relationship with Christian, while Trish Stratus started getting in a relationship with Chris Jericho. Do you remember how that ends?
Well, at WrestleMania, she turns on Jericho, low blows him, and then goes with Christian.
So the way that it happened was there was a bet between Jericho and
Christian of who could get with Trish.
Yeah. It led to a Battle of the Sexes match between Trish and Lita versus Christian and Jericho, which Lita and Trish lost at Armageddon 2001. And yeah.
I'm sorry?
Or Armageddon 2002. Sorry, 2002.
I didn't know this.
I did not know this either, which is wild. And when you just thought that the Lita stuff was going to just calm down after that, nope, we go right into her gimmick with Kane. So, Kane,
the baby.
Kane became obsessed with Lita. The way that, like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever been obsessed with a person the way Kane was obsessed with Lita.
The first season of You.
Yeah, that's a good comp. Except Kane can't hide because he's gigantic. A ball cap does nothing for Kane and his weird head. During the course of the storyline, Kane kidnapped Lita, a great way to get a girl to that you like her, and persuaded Eric Bischoff to give her a title shot at Bad Blood, where she was defeated by Trish Stratus. And then Lita revealed she was pregnant. It appeared that Matt Hardy was going to propose to Lita, and everyone was so excited, but was interrupted by Kane, who claimed that he was the father of Lita's child. 2 months later, it was revealed that was true. He was the father of Lita's child. I didn't remember the actual details of this partnership.
I did.
It's so much worse than I remember.
I was a child watching this.
And were you like, that's what love is?
No, I was like, what the hell's going on here? Why did she have sex? Honestly, my thing was, why did she have sex with Kane?
I mean, a real question to ask.
I wasn't. I mean, what was that? What was this? 2003.
2003. Yeah.
I was 6, depending on the time period. I turned 6 in 2003.
Yeah.
So I, I didn't really understand the whole kidnapping sex thing.
This was 2004, so you were 7.
Well, I turned 4. I turned 7 in October. So
okay, so you were 6. Holy shit!
I was 6. I was like, I didn't really fully understand the concept of consent, in that regard. So the whole thing was just like, why did she have sex with Kane? What's wrong with that?
This is not related to this, but remember how earlier I said that you're also watching the Celtics game, right?
Yeah.
You're watching the Celtics game on your phone, right?
Yeah.
You have your vibration turned on still, and you are the most popular man in the world. This is unbelievable. I don't know if the people have heard this through, and I'll probably try to edit it during post.
I don't think so.
Javier has had so many notifications. He's so popular. My phone has had one thing, and it has been 2. I got a tweet notification about something that Solomonster tweeted, so that's cool.
My guy.
And Uber Eats is trying to give me some bonus points to order something.
So here's the thing. So
you have friends?
So it's the group chat. It's the group chat, and one of my buddies, I won't out him. He works for a news organization, and he is at the game right now, like doing his job. And my other friends are texting about it with him because he is there live, and they are just talking about the game.
That makes sense. That makes sense
because the grind don't stop.
Kane was the father, and Matt Hardy and Kane had a feud, culminating in a till death do us part match because there's no better way to solve real life issues than by having a wrestling match. Kane beat Matt Hardy at SummerSlam in that match and had to marry Kane. Had to marry Lita.
Had to marry Kane.
Yes.
Kane married himself.
Lita was not happy about being married to Kane and kept helping his opponents in matches. But then on the September 13th episode of Raw, Lita miscarried after Gene Snitsky struck Kane with a chair and he fell on Lita. It led to Lita and Kane joining forces to take out Snitsky. It wasn't his fault.
Kick the baby. We covered that stuff during the Gene Snitsky episode.
This is something that a lot of people have actually been going back and looking at old episodes of ours, which is great. We have a really long back catalog of other wrestlers we've already covered, including Gene Snitsky, including Jazz. Trish Stratus has an episode. There's lots of episodes you can go back and check out. Speaking of Trish Stratus, we have not done Kane yet. Speaking of Trish, though, it's time for the Raw main event from December 6th, 2004. It's the WWE Women's Championship. It's face Lita versus heel Trish Stratus. Face mask Trish, an iconic look.
Yeah. I was telling you this earlier. I vaguely remember. I think I saw this live. I know we covered this during the Trish episode, and I don't remember what I said then. I don't claim anything I said 4 years ago. But
I was a different man.
I was a different human being then. I didn't have a job yet. But then
you were in college still.
That's true. But like, this would have been like the time period where I'm watching every week both shows. And like it's pretty like, it's probably the biggest part of my life is this and like my Saturday morning cartoons. So, I probably did watch it live because even watching it now with them going beat for beat, it just little flickers in the back of my brain to
the synapses are firing.
You saw this back then.
So here's something. We always hear about this December 6, 2004 main event between Trish and Lita as being the first female main event in Raw history.
Because it was.
Technically not. It's the first main event exclusively including female competitors in Raw history.
I mean, are you going to tell me there was like a mixed tag match that main evented Raw?
there were two different things. Lita's involved in the first 3 main events that involve women. The first was a mixed tag, like you guessed, where it was her and The Rock versus Trish and Triple H. That was July 31st, 2000. August 21st, 2000, when she beat Stephanie McMahon for the women's title, that is the main event. The only thing is that
but
The
it's
Rock,
not.
but it is the final match of the show. It is the main
It's
event.
not the main event.
It is the main event with The Rock as special guest referee. So the only like regulation style is her versus Trish, and this is a better match than anything she had with Stephanie.
I guess.
Because this is probably my recommendation for the week if you've never seen it. If you've seen it before, then like watch some of the other matches. But like if you've never seen this, you should go watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. For obvious reasons, this is their best match together. This is it's iconic. Like it's you don't. It is because of this match that we are. Like there is a direct correlation between this match and the way women are presented today. Like there just is. I'm not gonna say it's the biggest influence or anything like that, but there is a direct correlation between those two. Because if this match doesn't happen, man, women are not given the platform to be anywhere near this level.
I just want to just list while you're talking about that, about the inspiration. Here's a list of women on Wikipedia who have cited Lita in some capacity or an interview as one of their influences or inspirations. Saraya, AJ Lee, Bailey, Deonna Purrazzo, Melina, Terrence Terrell, Maria Kanellis, Maurice. That is a cross section of a couple different generations. That is a variety of different types of women's wrestlers, and that is a lot of championships and notable reigns in that group.
And WrestleMania performers.
Yeah.
Who got a lot of time in their matches.
It's a good group.
It's a great group.
In the match itself, both women tumble to the floor immediately during the lockup. Lita kicks Trish. Trish does the Matrix dodge, and Lita's having absolutely none of it and just sweeps the leg out from under her. Sweep the leg. Karate Kid.
I loved it for a near fall. Lita hits a side Russian leg sweep for a near fall. Side Russian leg sweep, my favorite of her moves. She hits it crisp every single time.
That's true. The moonsault when it's good is really good. The moonsault when it's not good is not good. But the Russian leg sweep is good every single time.
Every single time. It looks good. Also, she like flips out of it into a pin usually, which I think looks great every time.
It's a good little flourish to make it her own, yeah.
She hits a suicide dive, and my God, she has broken her neck.
Lita with the suicide dive that makes her spine bend in a way that it should not.
Have you ever seen, what was that Rob Dyrdek show? The one that it's still happening?
Ridiculousness?
Probably. Yeah, that one. So they had like a segment on there where it was like best scorpions or scorpion moment.
Yeah, where your feet go up and touch your head.
Yeah,
your spine.
that's what Lita did.
Yeah. She's an innovator. She's ahead of the game on the scorpion trend.
Rob Dyrdek should have had her on the show. It looks brutal, and they showed the replay of it an uncomfortable amount of times.
It was a lot. It was alarming. Trish takes out the face mask. She clocks Lita with it. And then a couple more moves. Lita gets a superplex. And then after Trish hits a chick kick, like they're really trading like their best things.
I mean, they listen, they got to show off the entire bag. They got to dump the bag, pretty much. What they got to do. Because who knows if they'll ever get this opportunity again.
It's true. You got to make the most of it.
It's like me. You put me in the main event, brother. I'm hitting a fucking Canadian destroyer off the top rope if you want me to, or if you let me.
That's a good idea. A very good idea.
Seems brutal. Probably has happened in AEW. Don't remember it. Probably
if it hasn't yet, it probably will. Lita tries a twist of fate. Trish holds the rope to keep herself up, which I thought was great. Tries a rope assisted pin, but Lita kicks out.
Yeah. We get a Lita powerbomb. Like she's eating corner punches from Trish.
Oh yeah.
She just grabs her, picks her up, puts her in the powerbomb position. And she just like walks her out of the corner. Not the first time we see Lita do one of those like walking power bombs, or not the last time I should say we see Lita do one of those walking power bombs, but looks pretty good every time.
Yeah, that was right before the twist of fate. After the rope assisted pin, where Lita kicks out, Lita with a twist of fate again goes up top, moonsault. 1, 2, 3. Lita has won the first women's main event in Raw history. Lita would then get paired with Edge because of a real life relationship that was discovered while she was dating Matt Hardy, one of Edge's really good friends.
Matthew.
That's awkward. She was the manager for Rated R Superstar Edge, aka the best gimmick for Edge, and was part of a live sex celebration that got a 5.2 rating, aka the highest Raw rating in like 2 years.
I watched it live,
and there was this weird thing of like, are they gonna fuck?
Here's the thing. I didn't watch it live because of that. I was just watching Raw, and then it was there.
I watched Raw all the time, but I'm gonna say like there was a part of my brain that was like, hey, you should probably like definitely watch Raw tonight. Like sometimes you like you're like, Raw, but sometimes you're like, you should probably watch Raw.
I was 7, so I wasn't really thinking about the sex.
Was that in 2000? Was that 2006 that happened?
Oh, and I was 8. The same thing. I'm not thinking about sex. It would have been 2006, yeah, because it was after he won the title.
Yeah, not me just actually Googling the words live sex celebration, which...
thinking you'll get the WWE result out of it.
January 9th, 2006. So this aired a day after my 14th birthday.
I was 8.
God, I'm fucking old.
Yeah, you are.
Lita then was...
she really transitioned away from the ring at this point.
Yeah, she was the heel manager for Edge, and she was excellent. But then she does win the Women's Championship again. August 14th episode of Raw. This is in 2006. She won her 3rd women's title by defeating Mickie James. She then lost to Trish Stratus on Unforgiven in Stratus' retirement match. Cyber Sunday, Lita defeated James again in the finals of a tournament for the vacant title in a Lumberjill match, and then she kept beating the crap out of Mickie James for a while.
There's one time, a lot of matches.
There was one time, November 13th, where Mickie was able to defeat Lita because DX squirted mustard in Lita's face because DX was very cool and wacky like that. Lita then cuts this promo that you found about her retirement.
Now, I want to say before we actually start talking about it, the link that I provided was from Reddit.
Yes.
There were like a ton of them. Like I could have used like Daily Motion. I think it was on YouTube, honestly. But yeah. I just thought, you know me, I like being unique. So if I find a unique link, it's the one I'm going to pick. So I picked the Reddit.
That's fair.
Sometimes.
Shout out to Reddit.
This is a great promo. Like genuinely. I listen, we can talk about it now. Lita, one of the worst talkers just ever. Just like not even like promo wise, just like, have you ever seen her on like heard her on like a pre-show or something?
Yeah.
She sucks. Like genuinely, I don't even know how she has conversations. She just seems like the most socially awkward human being ever.
I feel like Lita's one of those people that like if you talk to her about her interests, she's super fucking engaged and really cool. Like if you were to ask her about like
likes wrestling.
No, but but that's the thing is if you're just talking to her about it, not where she's trying to promote anything. Because that's the thing is it's different to be on a panel than just to like talk to someone about something. We talk different here than we do when we're not doing this. We don't walk around talking like this. My wife was like, you have like podcast voice.
Speak for yourself. I talk like this all the time. This is exactly
Javier goes into diatribes about shit all the time.
Yeah, that's literally what I do. I went into one yesterday. I went to Top Golf last night, and I went on like 3 different. I went on a diatribe about fucking buffalo chicken dip last night.
And pro or con?
I love buffalo chicken dip. It's fucking bomb.
I'm just making sure that you're not a weirdo. I agree. Pro. Yeah, Lita is not good at commentary. She's good at other things, but not commentary.
This promo, though, you could see the difference of it is that it's basically a scathing promo towards the crowd, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is really personal for her because it's all true. Like the crowd has been dicks to her. Like the wrestlers like DX, she mentions here, people like John Cena and DX have the audacity to disrespect her. It's true. They do. Yeah. Like she's been called a hoe the entirety of her time over the last like 2 years, pretty much.
Yeah.
And she did a terrible thing to Matt Hardy. Infidelity is not okay, especially when you're doing it with Edge. He fucking lost his job over it. Matt Hardy did.
Yeah.
Because it got put in such an awkward situation that Lita caused. But at the same time, like that is not a reason to completely like just demean a woman. Like she is, you don't just have to call her a hoe or like all this other stuff just because she did this one thing that was really bad to her partner.
Well, the people of 2006 disagree with you.
It's
She
not cool.
does a really good promo talking about, let me remind you, I single-handedly revolutionized women's roles in WWE. She talks about breaking her neck, getting verbally braided by you idiots, and how she inspires a generation of women. I love
True.
when people who are cutting heel promos are right. And Lita, like you said, is just right. She's right.
Yeah. Just without her, there would be no Mickie James. Without her, there would be no Trish Stratus, which is true. Like, yes, Trish Stratus would have been a wrestler and she would have been up there. But think about like how we revere Trish Stratus today. We don't just think about Trish. We think about Trish and Lita.
Yep.
Like they
They are
are
one in.
attached at the
Yes.
hip. And without one, you do not have the other. So, like, it's just one of those things where, like, it's true. Like, there would be no Mickie James because there's only Mickie James because of Trish and Lita. Not as a, like, yes, would she just ended up probably as a knockout at some point and been great, worked her way up eventually? Yeah. But she wouldn't have been Mickie James.
No.
The fans are going to make her job real easy to forget them because it's Survivor Series. She's going to do it better than Trish. She's going to walk in as champion. She's going to beat Mickie James. She's going to walk out the women's champion. And then she's walking away from the fans because Survivor Series is her last match. She's going to retire. She's going to retire the greatest women's champion of all time.
One of my favorite use of crowd shots happens right here. When she says that she's going to retire to the crowd, and just this most pleased with herself woman doing the double hand bye-bye. She's doing the 2-hand wave. Bye-bye.
Someone was really
Bye-bye.
happy about it.
She's thrilled. She's like, my husband keeps looking at you, and I'm thrilled if you're off my TV. I have no idea where they are in the United States, but I'm just picking an accent for
In
fun.
Birmingham, Alabama again?
They are in my mind. Roll Tide. That's Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa.
I don't know, man. It's Alabama.
You're like, close enough.
Close enough,
I don't know,
baby.
they can be closer to Auburn than they are Tuscaloosa. I don't fucking know.
If I know anything about states, it's that they got one team. Go Blue, baby. All right. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we're going to look at the actual match she has against Mickie James. Back from the break, Mickie James, Survivor Series 2006. Forget all that. Todd Grisham sighting before the match. Who's excited? It's Todd Grisham.
Okay.
What's your favorite Todd Grisham moment?
I saw him on Sports Center.
Is there anyone from wrestling history you think about less than Todd Grisham?
I forgot Todd Grisham was in WWE. Like when you tell me Todd Grisham, I immediately just think the anchor on Sports Center. Which is weird because he was what's the trippiest thing to me, by the way?
Sure.
I religiously watched Raw and SmackDown from like 2004 to I don't even know, until my lull period, pretty much, with gaps in between. But I religiously watched it 100% from like 2004 to like 2008. Right, I was watching Raw and SmackDown pretty much every single week, almost without exception. And every morning, my routine was before school, I would turn on the West Coast edition of Sports Center. When I get back from school, I'd turn on the afternoon edition of Sports Center.
Yep.
Can you imagine my fucking surprise when one day Jonathan Coachman's just there?
I had friends who were
I was
so
like,
mad.
What?
They were like, why is Coach doing Sports Center now?
I felt the exact same way about Todd Grisham.
When Coach showed up on my Madden game, I was like, what is happening? You're supposed to be Eric Bischoff's bitch. What are we doing?
Speaking of Madden games, when NCAA 25 drops,
we are not going to be releasing any more content. We're just going to be doing playthroughs. It's going to be. I hope you enjoy Road to Glory series, baby.
I hope you enjoy my year 13 dynasty of UMass.
Hope you enjoy me breaking all of the rules to make the Mean Green of North Texas a fucking dynasty, baby.
I told you this the other day. If I don't get the death penalty while controlling UMass, I will have failed.
I'm gonna get enough money in illegal sponsorships that I'm gonna get somebody to wax Deion Sanders for me, so I can take the Colorado job. That's part of the game, right? So
they just have a sponsorship of Call of Duty.
There's going to be so much NCAA content on here. Okay, the match against Mickie. The important thing is before the match, during this whole thing with Todd Grisham, Edge cuts a promo. That's fine. We see Crime Time sneak into Lita's locker room with a box, and they sneak out, and they tell Todd Grisham not to worry about it. Shh.
God.
Also, here's a little fun fact. On the gear Lita is wearing, on her shirt, there is a logo. The logo is for the Luchagors. That is her band.
That is a fantastic name.
The Luchagors.
That is, I'm assuming it's like a metal, punk, whatever kind of band.
Punk rock band, yeah.
That is fucking gold.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Wow.
They would release one album, but they would tour up until 2014.
Was she a bassist?
She was just the vocalist.
Oh, yeah. That's even more surprising.
But Lita does give strong bassist vibe.
That's why I guess bassist.
Strong bassist vibes.
Strong bass, or like the keyboard player.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, Luke Cornett just dunked it on people in transition, and that's what matters.
I don't like it. So in the actual match, this match is good. Mickey's a good wrestler. It's fine.
I don't think these two had great chemistry.
They kept being a little late on things, or not quite knowing. Like obviously with Trish and Lita, they just have so much chemistry together that they just can do things smoothly. Here,
this just kind of felt a little off.
There's a couple little off things. Like there's some stops. Like there's some awkward things in corners where is she going up? Is she not going up? Do I just throw right hands? What do I do? Meanwhile, the whole time, Philadelphia, which is where we are for this, merciless to Lita. She's a crack whore chance, hoe chance. It's merciless.
So bad, man.
In terms of good spots, what'd you like in this one? Give me a good spot.
I mean, towards the beginning, Mickie does a drop toe hold, and then she literally just starts dragging Lita around. I specifically wrote she's dragging that hoe, but I didn't mean it like that.
You were just channeling the spirit of Philadelphia within your bones.
Yeah, sure. I don't have any spirit of Philadelphia in my bones, but I did have them in my belly because we went there and I ate good.
There's a choke with a body scissors by Lita. Then she goes up to the top, misses the crossbody as Mickie ducks. Back suplex by Lita to Mickie who's climbing the ropes. Mickie with a nice kick, the roundhouse type kick she hits. That's probably the best thing this whole match.
Beautiful.
And then a fisherman suplex for a 2 as well.
Yes, we get a Lita salt low down the line for a near fall. Mickie does
kicking out was surprising. People don't usually kick out a Lita salt.
Yeah, there was just no setup to it really, and I think that's why it was okay for her to do. Mickie does a series of pins. I think gets right to the finish. She hits her DDT, which I always forget what that's called.
I always call it a float over DDT because that's what it looks like. But she wins, and she's the new women's champion, and Lita's just lying on the floor. And Lita calls Lillian Garcia into the ring and tells her to announce, "Let's hear it for the greatest women's champion of all time, Lita." And
she gets booed to hell. I got glorious strong boos. Shane McMahon vibes from that one.
Best in the world. Lita screaming on the mic.
Working at Cruises again.
That's true. Carnival Cruise with Greg Hamilton. Lita is screaming about respect, and she demands it. Here comes Crime Time with a box of Lita's things.
Just her undergarments hanging off the box.
Did you watch this whole segment?
I did, and I didn't take any notes.
Oh, but they're having a wholesale.
This is disgusting, by the way.
It's a weird gimmick. Crime Time is here with a box of Lita's things. They're taking straight cash. They sell her bra for $1 to a guy who looks, let's say 17. Philly is so horny, they're waving money around like it's James Harden at the strip club. They are going nuts. They can't help themselves. They sell yeast infection medication.
Yeah.
Which, the box was open. Is that worth more or less? Or more?
What?
Or the box for the yeast infection medication was open, which implies use.
Yeah, I think that means it's worth more.
To the people of Philadelphia, absolutely, it's worth more.
Well, because it means that she would have used it, and I don't
Exactly, and
know.
that's.
It's
But hey,
easy. It's easy to
but if it was,
counterfeit. If it's unopened, it's easy. What makes me believe they didn't just go to like Walgreens or some shit, just grab it a box of it, say, "Oh, this is Lita's."
I was thinking more of like, at least you can use it if it's unused.
All
You can
right,
be like,
well,
hey, if you got yeast infection. Then they go to a man with a lot of money, JBL, who's on commentary, and they go to sell him some things. He says he's the only man who hasn't been as Lita's panties, so let me buy some. And he gives them a deep sniff, an audible on commentary sniff.
I am so happy that I wasn't paying attention to that.
Oh, we're not done. He buys them for $100, and Crime Time refuses to give him change.
It's like
They
about what
have
it's worth now, to be fair.
two things left to sell. One is Lita's little friend, which is a vibrator, which they never take out of a bag, but is clearly dick shaped.
Yeah.
$25. Somebody honestly
Only.
and earnestly gave $25, and Crime Time's like, hell yeah, sure. And then they sell the box. All the stuff came in because it's Lita's box, according to JTG. It's cheap, it's wide, and you can put your head in it. It's Lita's box. They sell it for $1.
That it was so disgusting. Like,
It's
just genuinely, and that's the last time we see her
that's
until
the
her
thing I want to
return.
talk about. This is Lita's swan song. Is
This is it.
selling her dildo.
Like, it's like the Michael Jackson tour. This is it. That's it. We're done here, folks. We don't see her again until we see her at her retirement and Trisha's retirement. But aside from that, and we get little one-offs here and there, and which you'll
Yes.
mention in a little bit, but we really do not see her again until like the 2018 Rumble.
So there are some one-offs that she does. She goes to the Indies. She does a little bit of indie work. She returns at the 15th anniversary special, which was December 10th, 2007, to team up with Trish to get rid of Jillian Hall. She appeared on the November 1st, 2010 episode of Raw in a segment with Pee Wee Herman. Weird. 2011 Slammies. She presented a Slammy to Kelly Kelly. On the 1000th episode of Raw, she famously has a match against Heath Slater, where a bunch of other legends interfere because Heath Slater was losing to a bunch of legends on the build up to 1000. And then in 2014, she was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, which is very cool. Then, big appearance in the 2022 edition of the Royal Rumble. She returned at SmackDown as a face, had a confrontation with Charlotte Flair, entered at 26th in the 2022 Royal Rumble, and was eliminated by Charlotte. And then Lita challenged Becky Lynch to a match at Elimination Chamber for the Raw Women's Championship. So our last match is from Elimination Chamber 2022. It's Becky versus Lita.
Yeah, this is the big time Bex, whatever she went by that point.
Yeah.
Heel Becky, where she just after she had beaten Bianca in like 12 seconds or whatever.
It's a bad time.
Bad time, but you know what?
It all worked out.
It worked out in the end. We got a big match out of her and Bianca. But yeah, this is, you know what the funniest thing is? Yeah, we're covering it here. They also kind of needed this match from Lita because there was nobody to challenge Becky.
There
Literally nobody.
Honestly, the insertion of Elimination Chamber into the pay-per-view before WrestleMania is great because you can usually just fill Elimination Chamber matches with like number one contender shots for other titles that aren't going to be contended in the Rumble. You can usually do that, but you still usually have to find a filler opponent for a couple of champions at Elimination Chamber, and it's always weird to see. Yeah, it's always weird to see who gets those title shots, and they're like, we have no baby faces to face Becky, so
there have been some weird one over the years. I can't even think. What do you think is like the weirdest of those like one-off Elimination Chamber matches?
I think I think this one is an Elimination Chamber, but I always am like, within like a 3-year span, Mark Henry and Hardcore Holly challenged for the world titles at the Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, the Rumble was kind of that before.
Yeah.
I would say because the Elimination Chamber didn't really become a yes, it was sandwiched in between those two, but usually what they would do was before it was number one contendership, it used to just be defended in the Elimination Chamber match for so
Yeah.
long that it really only has been since it returned, the Elimination Chamber returned, that they've been kind of doing this one number one contender thing. Um, yeah, there's been you mostly kind of see the weird ones on the women's side more than anything because you pretty much have the WrestleMania matches locked up around Rumble season, so
Yeah.
you never
I'm looking.
know.
I'm looking it up to see if I can find some weird ones that
This
happened.
is there was like a weird. I mean, Roman versus Sammy last year was a really good one.
Yeah, Roman
I
Sammy
don't
is
even
like
remember. Was there
one of the
even one in
best ones.
2022? Like,
No, not really.
there you go. I don't know, man. It's just overall, I just love these little one-off matches that are kind of like, yeah, this person that's challenging is definitely not winning and
Yeah.
probably won't be back.
Probably not coming
So,
back here. Same with
well, not
when
to the
like when
company,
they
but
had
just
when
like
they had
to the title
other,
scene.
even when it wasn't Elimination Chamber, like whatever they book in February always has a weird uphill battle for that spot.
Yeah, like wasn't that the Morrison Strowman Miz? No, that was after WrestleMania. Never mind.
Yeah. Some weird ones in there. All right. What'd you think of this match against Becky?
I mean, this is my recommendation for the week. Again, if you haven't seen the Trish match, mostly because this is okay match. It's pretty good.
Yeah. It's a
You know,
good match. It's Becky is
solid.
really good here. And Lita is this is the best storytelling I think Lita does in any match.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Like obviously Becky is probably her most talented dancing partner, and that's no disrespect to Trish Stratus, who was a
Yeah, I
pioneer
mean,
and a trailblazer, but Becky's Becky.
it's Becky.
Yeah.
Becky's awesome.
Huge pop for Lita, by the way. Over.
Yeah. Well,
Over.
is this a Saudi? This is the
This is a
Saudi
Saudi
chamber,
match. That's
isn't it?
why they have the long one
Yeah.
piece entry or ring gear, yeah.
Becky straight slaps Lita, just straight up slap the shit out of her right as
Yep.
soon as the match starts. Arm drag by Lita and the slap. We get a Lita Kanrana. Becky does some ground and pound and then just starts working the hell out of Lita
Yep. A lot of stuff. Leg drop by Becky. Lita kicks out.
to the
But then
neck when
yeah,
she's like draped.
she does the draping leg drop to the back of the neck for a 2. We get a back exploder suplex, but then the second back exploder is reversed into a DDT. So Lita has a little bit of an opening. She starts hitting some right hands, clotheslines, middle rope crossbody for a 2. Then we do this nice little spot where they trade some pin attempts. Lynch does a roll up using the rope, but no dice. Lita immediately tries to lock in a sleeper. It is the hardest time to lock in a sleeper. Lita just simply cannot lock it in for the life of
She's
her.
like
Not because
grabbing it
Becky's.
here.
She was wrapping it
Like
around her forehead.
the arm is going here. It's like if
Yeah.
you're doing a skull crush, then sure, but
Yeah.
it's not what she's going for.
She's not the great Kali. The great Kalita. That's a terrifying thought. The great Kalita? Dangerous.
I love it.
Lita does hit another one of those walking power bombs, though. It was nice.
Yes, I really liked it. I'm sorry, I'm still not over that freaking sleeper spot. The blocking power bomb's good. Becky stuns Lita on the ropes.
Yeah.
We get the Trish corner Frankensteiner spot from Lita,
Yep.
which I love that. I love a good little callback. We get a twist of fate for a near fall. Becky puts on a disarmer at one point here. She ends up hitting a manhandle slam, but Lita gets her foot on the rope.
It's that too.
Yes. Twisted Fate by Lita. Lita Salt. Near fall.
Becky gets to kick out of Lita cell too. Pretty much right after that, Becky hits a manhandle slam and wins
Yeah,
and
because
retains.
Lita lifted. By the way, we got to talk about it. Lita was lifting her up like with Becky's arm, like under her arm. Like she had her arm positioned perfectly for the manhandle slam. Like it's in the most unnatural way to pick someone up. And so Becky was just woke up a little bit and said, "Oh fuck it, word," and then just hit it.
I mean, if you're going to do that, then sure. The other thing is, I want to talk about the twist of fate that Lita hits earlier, because it's not a twist of fate. She just jams Becky's head into the ground. She's like a reverse, like she's like the old school dirty deeds that Dean used to do,
Yeah.
and it shocked me because, like, obviously, Lita doesn't have a limited. She doesn't have a limited bag, but that's a move that's literally never appeared in her bag before. And it's like when John Cena started doing that fucking like the kung fu punch and the springboard stunner. I was like, you don't do these things.
Yes, he does. Sixth move of doom.
I love the sixth move of doom. So Lita would go on a hiatus. She would return in February 2023 during a steel cage match between Becky Lynch and Bayley, proceeding to assault 3 members of Damage Control and giving Lynch the victory. And then Lita and Becky Lynch would win the tag titles off of Dakota Kai and Io Sky, giving her first title reign since 2006. On March
Crazy.
6th, Lynch and Lita challenged Damage Control to a 6-woman tag match at WrestleMania 39, and they would win. It would be Lita's second WrestleMania match ever, and her first win, because literally it was WrestleMania 18 to WrestleMania
Wow.
39 between her 2 matches.
21 years?
21 years.
Can you
Crazy
do
gap.
something for me?
Crazy gap. Lita would then get beaten up by Trish Stratus, and they would lose the titles, and Trish returned on Becky. Lita was part of a bigger storyline against 2 people she probably had her 2 best matches with, which is interesting.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, Trish is her best friend. Becky was like her
Her like
work
it feels like her like
acquaintance.
star pupil.
Yeah, well, not necessarily, but like her work acquaintance, you know. And then it just I get it. Why that had to take place, but at the same time, I didn't love the Trish and Becky feud. The last match, the cage match, was great, but aside from that, it was all not good. So.
They stuck the landing, and that's all you can really ask for in wrestling is stick the landing. It's what I hope for with the Uncle Howdy stuff. It's all cool. I like QR codes and glitches, and that's awesome. Please stick the landing.
I just hope he doesn't wrestle. That's all I want.
I
Just
hope I
don't
want
want
him to
him
not
wrestling.
wrestle. Just let everybody else wrestle. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. I will say it's Bo Dallas who's a good wrestler. Like he's a good
Yes,
wrestler.
he is.
So, like, I'm not concerned about that. I just hope he doesn't wrestle in that trench coat and stuff. So
I don't know what his wrestling gear would look like, and that concerns me. All right,
keep the
enough about.
mask on.
Yeah,
Do the tank top thing that Bray had for a while there with some pants. That's all you need.
there you go. What do you think going back and looking at the career of Lita?
I mean, look, iconic performer, obviously, like genuinely inspired a generation of women to get into wrestling and to get into wanting to be wrestlers. Um, and she's just cool, like she is. She's
She's
just
so
cool
fucking cool.
because she was so different from everyone else that you would see. She wasn't blonde. She wasn't like from a modeling or athletic background. She was a wrestler. Like she
Yeah,
wanted to be a wrestler, so she became a wrestler. And she was really cool. For as much as her work rate doesn't translate, which I know is a big, it's a big thing for me personally because I like good work rate. It's fine. What she was doing at the time was revolutionary for women. Um, Again, at that time period in WWE, especially, her promos were lacking to me, but she balanced that with having a good character and leaning into whether it was the baby face or the heel side, leaning into the direction that she had to go in a pretty good way. Like Alita was never out of place wherever she was, which I think more than anything, Lita is truly an example of, yeah, someone can have flaws as a performer, but they don't get like they don't get exposed. She really
Yeah.
leans into the strengths of what she has, and she maximizes it to the extent that Lita obviously did. She's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Stick with what you're good at. The other thing that
Yeah.
I noticed is she went from potentially being too one dimensional. Like with the Hardys, she was cool girl, right? Cool non blonde girl, and like there's a whole thing where she could have been just like, you know, it's very like 500 Days of Summer, like manic pixie dream girl. Like, oh, we just think
Yeah.
of her in a certain way, and that's all she gets to be forever. And then she did some of the weirdest, outlandish storylines and made them all land and played her part, babyface or heel, exceptionally well.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with Edge, her and Edge, like that is one of the best heel runs of the last 20 years.
Yeah,
Period. And Edge doesn't become the rated R superstar main event
without Lita.
level talent that he was without Lita, and
Nope.
that's just a fact. So like good. Like Lita again played her part to absolute perfection. She is someone that I will remember for as long as I can remember things.
I think Lita's career, in terms of like the order and the broad strokes, this is the first time in a while I've covered somebody that is from our thing where I'm like, I know exactly like where she was. I knew she was Indies, Mexico, ECW,
Yeah,
SA Rios, Team Extreme. You know, like I knew
CM
all
Punk's
the
girlfriend.
yeah, like I knew all the beats. Like I knew what happened. I forgot about some of the extremes of some of the things, but I knew all the beats. And that's because she's memorable. She's extremely memorable.
Yeah. Like there
Um,
wasn't a single match that was here. I mean, aside from the first two, but I watched them in my rewatch of the Attitude Era. That I didn't know. Like I
yeah,
knew the Raw main event match because I probably saw it live. Like I remember that promo happening. I remember the match with Mickie James. Like her retiring unceremoniously. Those replays were awful. By the way, on Raw, the next night, I guess it would have been. Crime Time like fed off of that for like a month. It was terrible. And yeah, like her coming back, obviously, I mean, she came back while we were doing this podcast and while I am watching wrestling on a consistent basis. So yeah, I've seen the entirety of her return. So
and you
you
were
know,
just thrilled she was not on commentary or pre-show panels anymore.
yes, God, yes, she's not dead,
Okay.
man.
You should rate the podcast wherever you're listening, whether it's here on YouTube and you hit the thumbs up or wherever you get your podcast. Give us a 5-star review. It helps us out tremendously. And share the podcast with your friends. We know a lot of people have been diving back into the back catalog. Go check out all the wrestlers we've covered before and share some episodes with your wrestling friends. Also, hit subscribe, of course, and let us know who to cover next. We've got some open spots. We don't have anything on the docket for the next couple. So let us know. We're going to do a 3-parter soon. So we're going to do a deep dive into somebody's career through 15 matches, which will be exciting. But we got some open spots on either side of that. So let us know who you would like to see. Hit us up on social media at Crossbody of Work on Twitter and the Instagram. You can follow Javier wherever he tells you right now.
I'm on the Twitter machine at JMello Sports.
Follow him. Do it. You can follow me at It's Evan Gomes, ITSEVANGOMES, also on the Twitter machine. If you want cool gear like the hat that I have on my head and the sweater that Javier has on his body, you should go to the merch link in our show notes, whether it's on the podcast page, in wherever your podcast player is, or on YouTube. All right.
Yeah.
We don't know who we're doing next week, so hit us up and tell us who we should cover next week. I will have a brand new background on YouTube because I will be in the newly painted, newly moved into house. But it's time, as it is every week, for everyone's favorite part of the podcast. Javier, any final words for the people?
This week's life advice with Javier isn't necessarily advice, it's more so words of encouragement for the folks. For those of you watching on YouTube, you may see my face and think, wow, this guy's out here looking like Pikachu. That's because I'm still on fucking Accutane. And, I got pit bulls and shit.
Looking like Pikachu?
Look, I got the red here and the red here.
Jesus Christ.
Anyways, for all my folks out there still struggling with their acne, like I'm 26 years old, I'm still struggling with mine. Like there are people who go on even longer and do so. Don't think just because you're getting older that it goes away. No, you gotta have good, healthy habits with your skincare and all that other stuff. It also depends on what things that you eat. I've been eating kind of like shit lately, and my face and stuff has suffered from it. So words of encouragement out there. If you're still struggling with your acne, still struggling with, any sort of like skin related thing or appearance based thing that you may or may not like, hey, just, it's a process. Keep pushing through. It'll all get better eventually. It's something that you kind of just have to accept, and if it's something that you can correct, then go ahead and do that best you can. But don't think that a flaw going away makes you flawless. That's not how we work. We're all human beings.
Ready for my throw on, build on life advice?
Go ahead.
I have been staring at Javier. We talked before we do this. I've been staring at Javier for about an hour and a half now. I have not noticed a single thing about his skin other than that he looks radiant as always. So here's the thing:
the beautiful light. I'm glowing.
What you think everyone like is going to be a problem, is everyone going to notice? People are just going to see you for the wonderful person that you are. So just don't even worry about it. You're going to be just fine, baby girl. I'm lapsing into Dusty. Oh no, it's time to go, baby. Life advice with Dusty Rhodes. We'll be back next week to talk about somebody. Who knows, baby? And we'll talk to you then.
Tell us who he talks about in the Hard Times promo.